Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. For those online, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry, I'm just coming on. It's raining cat and dog in Lagos, so the network is not friendly, but I'm happy I'm here now. And then we are going to do this really quick, really quick. So as you're coming online, please share the video, and then please spread the word as you do so. We need to really get this on fast. So say hello if you are here. If you're online and you can see me, say hello. Hi Bisola, thank you for joining. Thank you. All right, okay, thank you all for coming online. Yeah, thank you Bisola. I just resuming from vacation now, so yeah, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining me. Please let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear my voice? Let me know if you can hear me. I want to know. Thank you Akpan. Please let me know if you can hear me. I want to know whether the volume projection is okay. Thank you, Femi. Thank you for coming online. I appreciate every one of us that is here. Please let's share this video. Let's share this video as we go on. Thank you, Buki. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, my sis. Thank you, Adeyinka. Thank you, Ademola, for joining. I appreciate every one of us. Please let's share this video. We are going to be looking at child rights. We are going to be looking at child maintenance. We are going to be looking at child custody, and we are going to be looking at settlement. And we are going to do this really quick, really quick. Thank you, Busola. Thank you for that feedback. Very good. Thanks. So we're going to do this real quick. Since my last post on the issue of child maintenance, single parenting, I've had a lot of inbox about people asking me to do that. Now we're just going to talk about what is the law and what are the important facts for people to know. So that's what this broadcast is about. It's going to be really short, but it's going to be direct. On that same post, I had a number of people saying that I wasn't referring to the law. I wasn't referring to what's the provision here and there. I know a lot of people, when you're talking to a layman, he's not even concerned about what is written in the law. He's just telling you what his issues are. And the best way you can do is just to relate with that person. Yeah, sorry, I lost the connection. Anyway, so like I said, so today I'm going to be giving us the law, what the law says about these things, and then how do you go about applying the law and what I think you need to know. First and foremost, not a lot of people know that Nigeria has a Child Rights Act. There is the Nigerian Child Rights of 2003, and that law is for the protection of the Nigerian child. And then it has in it about 28 parts, and these parts, there are different parts that deal with different issues. We have the part 1. The part 1 is the part that stands at the pillar as the foundation for every other part. That part 1 talks about the best interest of the child. That is, when there is any issue, when there is any application, when there is any matter that affects the child, a Nigerian child, the court is expected, or the people in charge, the authority that is being set aside for such, they are expected to put into consideration the best interest of the child. Now, what that act did not do, which everybody that is in the legal profession is looking at, it does not determine, it did not define what is the best interest of the child. So what the best interest of the child is solely at the discretion of the court, which is what I tried to say in my last post. Another law that deals with child rights in Nigeria is the Matrimonial Causes Act. The Matrimonial Causes Act in part 4, as where it talks about maintenance and where it talks about custody. Also, we have the Lagos Child Rights Law of 2007, very, very explicit, and it deals with issues. And then we have the Family Court Rules for Lagos State in 2007. Now, that is the rule that the Family Court uses to apply the Child Rights Act and the Child Rights Law. So all of these are the list of laws. So for those that have been asking me, so all of these are the list of laws that deals with child rights in Nigeria. The Child Rights Act of 2003, the Matrimonial Causes Act, and the Matrimonial Causes Rule, which also deals with maintenance and custody because they are antecedents to the issue of matrimony. And then we have the Lagos Child Rights Law of 2007, and then we have the Family Court Rules of 2010. So all of this deals with child rights acts in Nigeria. Now, I said, what are child rights? Child rights are rights that are antecedent to the child. Just like, in Nigeria, we say that they are entitled to the fundamental human rights as we have in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Nigeria. So the child right is similar to such. These are rights that accrue to everyone, every child that is born in Nigeria. And then when we're talking about child, we are talking about between the ages 0 to the age of maturity. So we're talking about 16 or 18. So that is between the age 0 to the age of 16 or 18. So once a ward gets to the age of 16, gets to the age of 18, they are no longer considered as a child in Nigeria. They are no longer covered by the Child Rights Act. So when you have a child within that age range, that is between ages 0 to 16 or 18, then such a child would be covered with the Child Rights Act, and such a child can apply for those rights in the Child Rights Act to be enforced for their benefit. So what are the rights? Part of the rights is that a child has a right to a name, he has a right to religion, he has a right to education, he has a right to family life, he has a right to good environment. All of these things that looks like normal things, but those are rights. Now, it may not come into play when you have a child that is growing up within a proper family setting, that is the father, the mother, and the children, they are living together. Now, this will not apply because it goes without saying that the father and the mother are to take care of the children and give them the necessary amenities to life. That is, when you are raising a kid, you are expected to be able to raise them in good health, to be able to give them necessary health care, to be able to give them good education, to be able to give them all the amenities to life. But where it now happens that there is a breakdown of the matrimonial institute, there's a breakdown, or that it never existed. We have people who never got married, but they have kids for each other. Where it happens that such, there's such situation, whether you are never married to your baby daddy or you are never married to your baby mama, but you guys have a child in between you, then the Child Rights Act and all the laws antecedents come into play. And it may also not come into play in a situation whereby people decide to be adults. People, they behave reasonably. But where people do not behave reasonably, we have all of these laws that are already set down to help that situation. Now, in a situation where you are going through a divorce proceedings already in court, it is important. It's a fundamental part of your divorce proceedings to put, what are the plans for the children of the marriage. It's a part of your petition that you're going to file as a petitioner or whoever wants out of the marriage. It's part of it. That what is the preparation for the children of the marriage. In that paragraph, you're going to list the children of the marriage. You are going to list their name, their age, and what is the plan that you have for them. Now, for a lot of people, what happens is that many people just get separated. They never get to court to go and say they want to get divorced or anything. They just separate from each other. And then the woman, whether the woman carries the child and they go. And you find a lot of resentment around this. You find the father wanting to come and say, okay, the child is mine. If I'm going to do anything, I want to take the child. And then people start using their children to fight. Now, if by mistake, and not by mistake, if any of this gets into the ears of government or social worker authority, they can come and take those children from you, and then for that period, until you both get reasonable, those children become the word of the state. and then they are properly taken care of. It's part of the, the provisions that are in the Child Rights Act. That is, the government can take over the child. They will put them in proper foster homes. They will make plans for them. They will make arrangements until you both become responsible and then decide on what you want to do. So I tell people a lot of times that when you are planning to separate, or you are separated already, or you are planning to get divorced, put the issue of custody, put them in 4. These are things that need to be discussed and decided upon. I said that we're going to look at the right of a child to maintenance, particularly so where it is in the situation where you are not married, or you're already divorced, or the point is that the child in Nigeria is entitled to maintenance. And let me stress this for women. Maintenance is not for men alone, as the law says. I know tradition makes us understand that it is the man that provides for the family and other, but once there's a breakdown of the matrimonial union, maintenance is not for the man alone. In a situation whereby you are the one who is leaving the marriage and then you take your children along, there has to be an agreement between you and your partner of how maintenance is going to be done. So it doesn't mean that because you took the children now it's going to be 100% responsible. No, the law does not say that. All of these things are properly spelled out. Now, I tell people, you see, Google is your friend. A lot of laws of federation in Nigeria, they are on Google. So before anybody will come and be bamboozling you, I'll be telling you things that are not real. You can first of all go online, find out these things. At least then when you do not understand, to the point where you do not understand, then you can now consult a legal practitioner and say, okay, you have found this, you have read it, how does it apply, how can this be applied? So I'm saying it now, maintenance when there's a breakdown of the matrimonial union has not to do with the man alone. In fact, there is the provision, if you look at section 69 to 71 of the Child Rights Act of Nigeria, says that the court can order the woman to pay maintenance to the man. So it's there in the law. So we need to make these things clear, and so that we understand. That's what I was touching on my post on Saturday. That when you as the woman are the one who has the child with you, there has to be a point of discussion between you and your partner to agree on what are the terms for maintenance. So your your estranged spouse says that this is what I would do, and then you two also say this is what you would do. It's so straight. These things are very, very clear. So it's not a man thing alone that he left, he did not take care of the child. Well, yes, but then make sure that this discussion happens. Also, we're going to quickly look at the issue of custody. Like I said in my last post, you see, the issue of custody, the issue of maintenance, they go hand in hand together. And a lot of people try to wrap them around the fact that if a man does not maintain the child, he doesn't have a right to custody. That's not what the law says. As long as the issue of paternity is not in contention, if the man is not contending that the child is not his own, then custody is as of right. As you have a right to have the custody of that child, the man also has a right to custody. The rights of custody, the right of maintenance, the rights to the child is 50-50 between both parents, responsible or not. Whether the man is paying school fees, whether the man is paying maintenance or not, you both has 50-50 rights to that child. So once you have that understanding, wherever there's a breakdown and either party needs to part ways, you first of all bring that issue to fore. You put all the sentiments and resentment aside and discuss this issue, and then it's always very easy. This also goes to men. Your wife has left by reason of any excuse of hers that she just didn't feel that the marriage union is no longer working, and then she's left, and then you want to, because I've seen this happen, and then you feel that the best way to punish her is that you want to take the children and go and put them in one village. This is not going to work. If you look at that provision of the law, because I cannot go on and be reading right away, but I'm going to, after this broadcast, I'm going to do an exhaustive write-up. I already scheduled it, so that I can put it out so that you can read it after the order. But please, let's also be responsible. If you know this is affecting you, please be responsible and also check these things out. It's going to help you to have an understanding. Where you don't understand, then consult a legal practitioner, or in the case where I'm having this kind of free broadcast, then you bring up the question, you ask it, and then we are going to get to answer it. So like I was saying, that as long as the issue of paternity is not in contention, the issue of custody is 50-50 between both parents. Now, if you have not had that discussion because of your child, you have to be in talking terms with your partner, whether by text, whether by email, whether by anything. You have to ensure that you are in talking terms with your partner. That is the only way to be reasonable about these things. If you just don't want to mess up your child, if you don't want to mess up the life of your child, and then if eventually gets to court, I tell people, it's always better that you are the one that is calling the fight. Let it not be that you are the one that is defending. Most of the time when you are defending in court, particularly when it comes to child issues and maintenance issues, it's not always convenient. So as a woman, if you are separated, you are yet to go for divorce, there is the provision for you in law to ask for maintenance pending, the dissolution of your marriage. That is, you are separated, you agree, but you want maintenance. That is, you want your spouse to be taking responsibility to this extent. And the law says that he is going to be ordered to take responsibility to the extent of his means. Then people will come and say, he's earning more than this. He's not good. What is your own? If he's earning 500,000 and he comes to tell the court that he's earning 200, anyways, what you want him to do is to at least be a part of that of taking responsibility, so it doesn't put 100% responsibility on you, and then you're not dying in silence, which is what a lot of people do. You say you are a single mother, you are the one raising your child alone, and the man is somewhere enjoying the money. The law allows you to bring an application for maintenance pending dissolution. You don't even need to start divorce proceeding. There's no need to start. Just bring application for maintenance. This is the father of my children, and I have this number of children. They are going to this school. This is their school fees. This is their healthcare. And then you also be reasonable, because I have people that say they want to be claiming what is not in existence. The court is allowed, in any ways, it's part of the rule. The court is allowed to look at the conduct of parents. The court will look at your conduct if you are coming to ask for custody. The court will look at your conduct if you are coming to ask for maintenance. So if you are acting out of reasonability, you are acting out of proportion, the court takes it into consideration. And don't forget, I said in the beginning that what determines or what is defined as the overall benefit of the child is solely determined by the court. It's not defined even in law. The law just says that every provision of the Child Rights Act and the Child Rights Law is subject to that one paragraph. That is, the best interest of the child has to be considered. Now, what is the best interest of the child is not defined. So it is solely at the discretion of the court. And when we are saying at the court, the discretion of the magistrate that sits in the family court and the assessors that sit with them. Now, these assessors are professional psychologists and professional psychologists, and then they are professional family counselors that sits with these magistrates. So it's a serious business. It's a serious business. It's not just something that is in shambles. And if we have not seen it in anywhere before, we have seen Lagos State playing it out really well. Lagos State has family courts that are purely for these issues, and you'll be surprised that matters are going on in this place every blessed day. You wake up every morning, there are people fighting over custody, there are people fighting over maintenance, there are people fighting over these issues. Because I just look at it anytime I have to go to court, people just choose not to be reasonable. Because if they choose to be reasonable, things doesn't have to get to that extent. Yes, you were once in love, you guys are going together, and then things stop working, you put your children into fight. You don't need to use them to fight. You don't need to use them for, but I'm not going to all those sentiments. That's not why I'm here today. I'm here to say that the law says that a child is entitled to maintenance. And maintenance is not determined by your marital status. Whether you are married to your partner or not, the child that is in between the two of you is entitled to maintenance. And then you can bring an application to ask the court to order maintenance. That is, if you are the woman, the child is living with you, and then the man is the one who's left, is not available, you can bring an application asking the court to order him to pay maintenance. And if you are the man that the child is living with you, and then you feel that the woman is doing well and she's abandoned the child, you can also bring an application to court asking the court to order. But I know Nigerian men, ego will not allow us to do that. You just go and carry the children, go and put them in one village for your mommy or your auntie to be taking care of them. It's not in the best interest of the child. So if the mother comes tomorrow and says that you've carried her children to go and put in one bush, to go and be selling or be hawking things, the court will carry them and give it to her. Jeje. So these legal issues has got nothing to do with ego. So as a man, if the child is living with you and you feel that the woman has abandoned them, she's not looking back, you can go to court and ask the court to order her to pay maintenance. The provisions of the laws covers you They are there. It is in the Child Rights Act, section 69 to 81. It is in the Lagos Child Rights Law, section 69 also to 81. So all of these things are covered as long as paternity is not in contention. Also, if you are in divorce proceeding, like I said, it is an important part of your divorce proceeding that you discuss the plans, the preparation for children of the marriage for their maintenance. And so I also said on the issue of custody, what are the things that the court will look at? The fact that you are the one who gave birth to the child, she's been living with, he or she has been living with you since forever, you are the biological mother, you have money, you can take it, is not enough for the court to say that the child should continue to live with you. If the father comes forward, the provision of the law says that an application for custody can be brought whether by the father or by the mother of the word. And then the court is now left to determine. We want to look at the custody. We want to look at the conduct of the person applying for custody, and also to look at what are the means, and also to look at is the person mentally stable, also to look at the environment where the child is going to be raised, and also to look at the history of the child. So if you have a child that's been moving from one home to the other, the court is unlikely, and that's the word, the court is unlikely to be able to leave that child in that immigrant status. So the court will have to look at the situation whereby they are going to be able to put that child in a stable home. Because, like I said, what is the best interest of the child is solely determined by the court. And the court is constituted of the magistrate that sits at the family court, the assessor, who is a professional psychologist, and the professional people that will look at all of the antecedent issues that are surrounding the child from birth up on the time that you are appearing in court. So that's the things the court will put into consideration. So the fact that you have money, you can raise your kids, and all that is not enough. It is what the court deems fit at that point in time that they are going to consider. And let me say to women, one of the things we need to realize is that we are not the only influence these children have. We're not the only influence they have. So most of the time, you think that staying with you is what is going to make them to be well raised. But some of the time, that's not true. That's not true. You need to let them go and also learn. If you're able to do these things, they come back to you, as perfect. So on the issue of custody, it's a whole lot of things wrapped into one. It's not listed. It's not like there's a list that once you tick it 8/10, you get the custody. No, a lot of things goes into it. The court sits you down. It's a conference setting. You are sat down. You are questioned. The story of the child is also brought into fore. The court considers all of these things before the issue of custody is determined. And there's no point for you to be carrying your children to run away from their father or carrying them to run away from their mother. It is not good for their own psychological upbringing. These are things we need to put into consideration. It's not good. It is not wise. It is not wise because not one person can bring a child to life. So all of these things are important. They are things we need to put into consideration. Then I said something about settlement. You see, it gets to a point where you are able to prove to the court that indeed you have a spouse that is so irresponsible, who has abandoned you and the child, and maybe after the child has grown up, maybe up to a certain age, and then the man or the woman wants to come back and claim this or claim that. There is the provision for settlement. What happens is that the court is so constrained, and the law in its provision is also so constrained to a situation whereby it will allow a child to be estranged from his parents or from family. So the law is provision. It's in such a way that a child at least has a right to family life, that is growing up in a proper family setting. There's a situation where you feel that you are the one who's taking care of your child all your life. The man abandoned you, he's not available, but all of a sudden he just shows up and then he has the means. You can apply to court for settlement. The court will order for him to settle you, pay you the cost of upbringing as reasonable as you will have presented it to court, and then the court orders that he pays you settlement. So it's always it's good that we know these things. It's just to let you know that there is no hard and fast rule to it. There's no hard and fast rule to it. It's not because you are the mother, then custody goes to you as of right. The rights between you and your partner is 50-50. Like I said, I'm going to list out what are these laws again so that we can read it. When the order for custody can be differently. There could be the interim order of custody, and then there could be the order for full custody. It is always rare that you have a court give an order of full custody to one party. It's almost often that the order for custody are interim, particularly where both partners are okay, particularly where the father is doing fine, the mother is doing fine. So one person has the interim order of custody, that is the child spends a good number of time, and the other person have visitation rights or access to the child as at when due, anytime or every weekend. So this is how those things work. In fact, holidays are shared in children that have parents that are separated or that were never married but has a child in between them. Holidays are divided. Everything is just to ensure that each party has proper time with their kid. And there are rules to these things. Even when the issue of custody comes and they give you interim order, there are rules that you as the parent at that time are going to be guided by. You are not supposed to question the child as to what goes on between him and the father when he's with the father, or what goes on between him or her and the mother when he or she is with his father. It's a whole lot of things. But you see, things happen, issues happen that people find themselves in this situation. The reason why I brought up that post was because I've had quite a number of people who of course, because it's the school fees period and people are languishing in a lot of stress and pressure, particularly single mothers, and then they have the father for this kid somewhere. The good thing is just as much as you can just know where the person is located, he has an address, or you know where the person is working. That's all that you need, and then you consult a legal practitioner that is versed in family law, because not all lawyers knows that these things exist. So you go and meet a lawyer now, he just carry you to high court, you just go and be filing paper. That's not it. So in a family court that is specifically for family issues, once you bring the name of a child like this on a matter, everything is set aside until the issue is settled. So it's a court of priority when it comes to child issues. It's a court of priority. So you consult a legal practitioner, but what you need is that you need your child's birth certificate, and then you have to ensure that paternity is not in question. Paternity is not in contention. The man is not saying that he's not the father of the child. Where that issue is contention, you have to first of all go and settle it before we now begin to discuss the issue of maintenance, custody, and settlement. So all of these things are important. Like I said, there is the Nigerian Child Rights Act of 2003. It has about 28 parts. Part 1 talks about the best interest of the child, and this part 1 is the foundation for everything. So if you bring an application for anything, whether for custody, whether for maintenance, whether for settlement, whether for abuse, that's part 1 that talks about the best interest of the child is going to be the paramount issue that the court is going to consider at every point in time. So the court will consider at this point what is going to be in the best interest of this child. And like I said, that law did not define best interest of a child. So what is the best interest of a child is solely at the discretion of the court. And when something is at the discretion of the court, a lot of things are going to be examined before a determination is made. Part of the thing is that the conduct of the party applying for either of these things, whether for custody, whether for maintenance, whether for settlement, whether for anything, the conduct of that party is going to be considered. So it is not enough to say that you are financially capable. No, it does not end at being financially capable. You have to also be mentally capable. You have to also be stable. The court has to ensure that you are also stable. And let me say it here that the court is minded most of the time, because the child has a right to family life, to settle a ward, particularly an immigrant ward, in a proper home. And yes, people will talk about the issue of stepfathers and stepmothers. all of these things are taken into consideration before the court makes their decision. The business of child rights, child maintenance, and child custody, it's a very, very serious business, and it's not joked with at all. Particularly, I can say of Lagos State, I can say of Oyo State. They have family courts that sits on these issues, and they are determined judicially. You hardly find a custody issue that is appealed, or because these things are in conference manner. If you choose not to sit down with yourself in your home to talk, when you come to court, you will sit down. The two of you will sit down with all of these people and discuss reasonably. So I enjoin adults. When we find ourselves in these issues, let's just be matured. Let's be reasonable, and let us consider the best interest of the child, so that it won't have to get to the point where we get to court and then we start discussing here and there, because it's a 50-50. That is the max. And then that is the max that will cost to consider. And then if you now realize that you both doesn't want to take the 50-50, the government will take the child from you. It's not that we have children like that are in foster homes because their parents can choose not to be reasonable. So the government, a child in Nigeria, once born in Nigeria, and then you have the birth certificate from Nigeria, belongs to the government. So where you third parties cannot reach a consensus, you refuse to be responsible or reasonable, the government takes the child from you. They put him or her in a foster home, and then you are compelled, you are ordered again to maintain that child until either of you, are able to reach a reasonable decision. So this is very, very important. I would quickly want to take questions. I think I want us to really rush this, because I came up because I wanted to just address this issue. There are laws that are guiding these things. The Nigerian Child Rights Act of 2003, the Lagos State Child Rights Act of 2007, the Matrimonial Causes Act also discussed the issue of maintenance or custody, and then we have the Family Law Rules of 2010 that deals with all of these things. So if you have any question, I know a lot of people have already sent to me questions inbox. I won't be able to take them now, but I'm going to do a proper post after this, to explain this thing, just give you tidbits. But those are the laws, and those are the facts that you need to know. It's very, very succinct and straight, so that you don't misunderstand yourself. The sentiments around I'm the father, I'm the mother, the court will not consider. The position of the law is what the court will consider. The court is going to look at what is the best interest of the child as at the time when the issue was brought to court, and then it's going to consider what is the history of the child. So I enjoin every one of us to, if we find ourselves in these circumstances, let's just be reasonable. So I'll do a recap quickly while I try to take questions. If there's anybody who wants to ask question online, but if you do not want to ask question online, you can always post your question to me on Ask the Legal Practitioner, or you can drop them in my inbox. I would always get back to you as that when due. So first and foremost, we have the Child Rights Act of Nigeria 2003. I think I've said that thing. I've been singing it. Then we have the Child Rights Law of Lagos State. We have the Matrimonial Causes Act, and then we have the Family Law Court. All these four deals with child rights. And I said, what are child rights? They are the same thing as your own fundamental human rights as entrenched in the Constitution. So the child rights is also like that. And these rights are plenty. We have about 29 parts, of them. So it deals with custody, deals with protection, deals with abuse, deals with education, deals with health, deals with paternity, deals with the right to name, all of these things. And then I said that on the issue of maintenance, that it is not marital status determined. So it doesn't mean that if you are not married to your husband, or you are not married to, if you are not married to your baby mama or your daddy, baby, whatever, it doesn't mean that you don't have a right to maintenance. You do. The fact that the child between you exists, and then the maintenance is for the child. So you can bring an action for the maintenance of the child in between the two of you, as long as paternity is not in contention. And also, in case you were married but you are now separated, and then you have the child with you, whether as a man or as a woman, and then either party has gone, haywire, abandoned you, you could also bring an application to court pending the determination of your marital status for maintenance. And I also said, you see, the provision of the law is that even the woman can be asked to pay maintenance. It's not even in abroad alone, no, it's in our laws here in Nigeria. So as a woman, you abandon your children, you go away, your husband goes to court, you can ask the court that you should pay maintenance. But like I said, Nigerian men, ego will not let them do that. Instead, they will carry the children and come and put them in the village for them to be suffering because they do not want to ask for maintenance. If that kind of woman comes back and come and ask for custody of her children, and then the court also finds that you are not taking care of them, you put them in the village, they will take the children away from you and give it to their mother to go and properly take care of. And also, if you are a man, you abandon your child and all of that, the woman can go to court and ask for maintenance order, whether you are fully divorced or you are separated. And if you are going fully into divorce, the issue of the maintenance and custody of the children of the marriage has to be, it's an important part of your divorce proceeding. It has to be put into consideration. And then I said also that on the issue of custody, the court takes a lot of things into consideration. It is not enough that you are financially okay. No, because the child has a right to family life, the court will take proper consideration, one, of the history of the child. If the child is an immigrant child, that is, you have moved the child from one place to the other, from one place to the other, from one place to the other, the court is going to look at that history and ensure that the child, it does not continue in an immigrant nature. So that is important. And then the psychological aspect of the person applying for custody is also taken into consideration. It must be shown that you are mentally stable, not only financially stable, you are mentally stable. You are okay, you are strong emotionally enough to be able to take care of a child. And then they're going to look at the environment where you intend to raise that child. So all of these things, are taken into consideration by the court. So application for custody can be brought by the father or by the mother. It could be brought even by somebody else, maybe your family member who sees that the three of you, or you, the father and the mother, you are not doing well, you don't know what you are doing, you're just messing up with the life of the child. So the person can bring an application for custody to the court, and then the court will consider it and look at it. And if the court feels that yes, indeed, the two of you are irresponsible, they will take the child and give it to the person, as long as they can, a family lineage, a family tree can be, traced to that person. And the person shows that yes, he's ready to take care of that child. So custody issue is a very serious one. The court looks at a lot of things to determine it. And I said, in case maybe you have been abandoned, whether as a man or as a woman, and you are the one who raised your child, and then all of a sudden, maybe the child is now grown and everything, you can make an application for settlement. Once you know that the man is there or the woman is there and she's okay, bring a application for settlement. The court will order that cost for settlement of upbringing be paid to you. All of these things are there. It's only people that are not ready, to go all out for this. And like I said, there are special courts for this. I know of Lagos State, I know of Oyo State. There are special family courts for this. So you don't just go to anybody who just says this matter is going to High Court. No, there are special family courts, and family courts, in spite of all of these matters, are at magistrate level, and they determine issues at that level, because that is what they are specifically set up for. That is what they are specifically set up for. So once you apply there, all the necessary tools, it's a conference setting. It's not it's a conference setting, but yes, to go with your legal practitioner just to be able to let you, understand the terms of things that are discussed there. So it's a family court specifically for this issue. So if you have if you just go and meet any lawyer that is not vast in that area, you may be misled. So once you apply to the family court of all of these things, they have their rules. I've told you they are the family court rules of 2010. They have their rules that guide all of the things that they do there. So this helps you to be able to access what you want on time. It's not a court that goes on forever. This is not a court matter that you are spending 2 years, 3 years. No, well, it's not in less than 3-4 weeks. This issue, in fact, you cannot even be talking of the issue of maintenance and custody and you are spending 5 weeks in court. It's impossible in a family court. Why? Because they will tell you that, see, the best interest of that child needs to be taken into consideration, and you cannot be bringing the child to court every time. So in less than 3-4 weeks, you are done. 3 weeks max. When you are discussing the issue of maintenance and you're discussing the issue of custody, because the court is not ready to waste time. If the two of you are not going to be reasonable, they take the child from you. They put the child in a foster home. So it's not a court that wastes time at all. So I enjoin people to don't just because a lot of people eventually get hurt in the process. You have the child with you and then you keep quiet and then you're not taking proper steps. If the child is with you as a woman and then you know that the man is not doing well or the man is doing well, come up, speak to people that can counsel you. The thing is, you want the man to be responsible. So the amount that is going to be responsible to, you both will decide where you get to court. So whether the court will be asking him to be paying school fees while you take all the other things, at least it takes off you, some pressure. That's why I said that. How does it benefit you and your child? It benefits your child because your child has a right to maintenance. And then it benefits you because it takes pressure away from you as a woman and even as a man, because the law says that as a man you can also ask that the court order your wife to pay maintenance. It's in the law. Is in the law. So really, we have laws that are there to make life easy for us if we want to live a life of ease. So that's about that. I can see a lot of people sending me questions inbox. They don't want to ask her. It would have been fine if you ask her to help other people, but that's about that. Like I said, it's going to be a short one, but we have looked at what are the laws. I'm going to put up the post about it after this. What is the law, and then what are the important facts for you to know. So thank you, everybody. It's been a while though, but thank you. It's good coming back again. I do hope I've been able to shed more light in one or two ways, and then we understand these things. Maintenance is not marital status determined. It doesn't mean that you have to be married. Even when you are separated, even when you are never married, the child has a right to maintenance, has a right to family life, has a right to all of these things. So please don't let us deny these children, and then you too don't pressurize yourself, whether as a man or as a woman. Let's put all these sentiments and resentments aside. Let's do what is right for us and then for our children. God will help all of us. Thank you so much for the time. I thank everybody again who has joined me. It's a pleasure. I really, really appreciate your time. I do hope this helps somebody outside. So we're going to be seeing again upper week. Thank you.